not going to happen, unfortunately, Art, like a number of people afflicted with whatever is afflicting Art Lewis. And so he said, going back to bed, we'll try again tomorrow. So we wish him well. Charlie Rood here sitting in for Art Lewis. For the first portion of this hour, we're going to have time to catch up and get a conversation going with State Representative Bill G. Schuette from the 95th District, who's talking with us this morning. He joins us on the phone this morning. Representative Schuette, good morning. Thank you very much for your time this morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, Charlie. Sorry that Art is not feeling well, but glad that I can talk to you on this MLK Day.
We appreciate that. I guess I might start, and I think I know that Art's talked to you in the past, and I think sometimes one of the early questions he asks, so what's new? What do we need to know? What are the things that are getting the attention of Representative Schuette in Lansing these days?
Well, yeah, and appreciate the question and always like providing an update to the WSGW audience here, Charlie. We're in 2026. So it's an election year, but that doesn't mean we can't get some good things done in Lansing on your behalf. And big issues that I'm working on in Lansing is cutting red tape. And that means getting at the ways that the government is driving up prices on you, getting in your way, making it hard for Michiganders to get to work. And I've talked to Art in the past about the initiative of different bills that we've been working on to get rid of barriers to entry in the marketplace. And ways that government is driving up costs and everything from housing to childcare to healthcare. And we're going to see a lot of progress on that in the State House. You might remember, Charlie, last year at the State of the State, Governor Whitmer mentioned that, cutting red tape was something that she was interested in doing. I was kind of shocked. It's more of a Republican thing than a Democrat thing. But hopefully this year at the State of the State, she'll be talking about some of the bills she's signing to do just that.
Yeah, in fact, that's scheduled on the 25th, and I was going to ask you, are there any expectations early on of what you think she will say, or what, especially from your side of the aisle, that you hope that she addresses or may say that would be something that you could work with?
Yeah, and that's a good question, Charlie. I mean, this will be the governor's final State of the State, and I've been in the chamber for, I guess now, 4 of them. This will be my 4th, rather. And, I hope that you see more of that message of things we can agree on. And that would have been something like cutting red tape. But another aspect that she brought up last year that, again, I'm always looking for ways where we can come together and agree on some policies. One of the things she mentioned was a cell phone ban in schools because, Charlie, you've seen the data. I've seen the data. Cell phones are destructive to a learning environment. And in Michigan, we rank 44th in the nation in reading. What we're doing in our public school system, unfortunately, is not working for the students. And we took a step in the State House to ban the use of cell phones during instruction time in our K through 12 school system. That's important, Charlie. So that way, schools need to be places for learning, not places for scrolling on social media. So that was something, again, there's not a ton of agreement in politics, but that was an area where I think we saw some folks getting together and realizing that's the right thing for Michigan students.
And you are talking, Representative Schuette, about looking for ways to work together, which I like to think that happens in politics more often than it does not. And I'm sure it does in a lot of ways that maybe we don't hear about because the divisiveness sometimes is what makes the news. But politics by nature, I mean, it's disagreeable. I mean, you have your issues. The other side has their issues. Since it is an election year, you talked about hoping to get things done, or does that, I don't want to say stop the possibility, it won't stop, but will it deter perhaps certain things from getting attention because it's election year and you want to see how the power plays out?
Yeah, and, Charlie, again, we're going to work on the areas, whether if that's, getting some common sense cutting of red tape or ways we can make our school systems better for the learning environment. We'll always look for those ways, but you said it pretty well there. We live in a constitutional republic where we have elections, And in elections are times for choosing, and those choosings mean there's often stark differences between different parties and ideologies. I think one of the starkest areas of difference we have right now in our state is around energy policy. I think, what is it? It's going to get up to a whole 15 degrees Fahrenheit today, Charlie, and the heat's kicking on pretty heavy in my home and in homes around the Great Lakes Bay region. But the cost of heating our homes is going up and up, and that's because of, unfortunately, some really bad decisions on energy policy that Michigan Democrats made. I mean, banning natural gas by 2040, that's going to completely undermine our state's ability to provide affordable and reliable energy to people across our state. And that's a serious area of difference between the two parties where I hope we'll have a change of direction come 2026.
One more quick question, I guess. Election themed, if you will, because coming up in this area, we know that we're going to have, well, at least the primary to fill that empty Senate seat is coming up in just a few weeks, February 3rd, as a matter of fact. Mr. Schuette, are you involved this at all? Obviously, it affects your area and someone that you could work with. Are you going to get involved when it comes to candidate support or endorsement, or are you waiting to see what happens then until the primary comes along?
Yeah, Charlie, it's been more than 500 days, or will be by the time we hold that general election in May, that the people of almost 270,000 people of Midland Bay and Saginaw counties have gone without representation in the state Senate. A real threat to our democracy here in the Great Lakes Bay region, and it's been a disservice that Governor Whitmer has perpetuated on the people of our three counties because she's playing politics and she's worried that the Democrats will lose control of the state Senate. So, my focus, Charlie, is making sure that we restore representation with a Republican who will do things like try and look for ways to, reduce your energy costs and look for ways to, give the people of the Great Lakes Bay region the representation they deserve.
All right, we have to take a break here and come back, and we'll finish up with our conversation today with Representative Schuette from the 95th District. And we'll continue that coming up on the Art Lewis Show. Charlie in for Art this morning on WSW. We're at 10:19.
Hi, I'm Jen.
And I'm Kevin.
I'm Taylor Riggs, and this is the Fox Business.
Welcome to the Art Lewis Show on WSGW. It's Charlie in for Art this morning. It's 10:23. It's Art. He's hoping to return tomorrow after waking up and not doing well. But he said, let's go back to bed and try again. So that's what we'll do. Talking this morning, we appreciate his time here for a few more minutes. We have Representative Bill G. Schuette, District 95 in the area. And Representative Schuette, so I know that when you're on, it's a question that, and I don't know how long these questions are going to be asked until at some point when everything is put back in proper after now, 6 years ago it'll be this May when the dams gave way, and we know what happened in the communities that took place. Where are we at right now? Are we continuing to move forward and trying to restore the lakes that are the result of the dam breaches?
Yeah, I know, and it's an important question, Charlie, and I look forward to someday putting this question to bed. Because the lake beds have water over them. But we've got good news on that front, Charlie. We're actually was driving by just the other day, and I'm seeing water starting to go back into Sanford Lake, and we're nearing completion on that dam and the other lakes in the Four Lakes area. So it's going to be a progressive buildup. as the water returns to the lakes. But thankfully, thanks to the hard work of the Four Lakes Task Force and the money we were able to secure at the state level, we will once again be able to enjoy what is an important treasure of our region.
Is your office working with any of the residents? I think it's going on now. There was that class action suit that was being talked about that was going to hit the courts, and I thought it was just starting here in January.
Yeah, they have just started those hearings. We have separate branches of government, and that's in the judicial branch, and I'm in the legislative. So obviously monitoring it for any outcomes and how that might impact the residents of the 95th district or any of the various funding streams that we're working on. But right now that's in the Court of Claims, and we'll see how it is resolved.
All right. Let me go back to, if I can ask, because you talked about energy. The continuation of some of the discussions in various communities. I don't know if we have any around here, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, but communities dealing with the potential of having data centers. And your take on that, the position, or maybe the party position on obviously the energy cost of that. And I just saw something, I think it was in the Detroit News Online this morning. They were talking about now communities concerned about what it might mean when it comes to the water supply for a data center. Where are we with that with you?
Important questions, and here's the thing, Charlie, is we need to ensure that America is dominant in the 21st century, and that's in things like artificial intelligence and the technology race, and all of that requires data. You search anything on your cell phone, or you try to use ChatGPT. All of that requires massive amounts of data, and that data needs to be housed in the United States. Shouldn't be housed in China. That would be a massive security risk. So we want those data centers in the United States, but we need to do so in the right way. We need to do so in a way that does not increase the cost of energy for Michiganders, and we need to do so in a way that it involves significant investment in our communities. I go around lots of different parts of mid-Michigan and different parts of the state of Michigan. And I hear from folks all over that property taxes are too high. Well, if you want to reduce the cost of property taxes but maintain our quality of police and fire and local services, you'll need communities, and data centers present a possibility to do so. So you want to be smart. You want to make sure that local governments have control to say, yes, we want data centers, and how they want to do so. But there's opportunities to protect our national security and, keep our energy rates low and reduce the cost of property taxes.
To me, it sounds like from things I've heard and read, it becomes one of those not in my backyard issues where there's going to have to be decisions made, and some will be happy and some will not be happy, which is what happens with a lot of decisions made, I know. But this is, as you said, this is a big one, though, for a lot of people, and what it could mean into the communities to, as you said, the economic impact could be huge, but then the drawbacks are also very huge for people very personally.
Yeah, and again, so that's why you need to make sure that these data centers are done the right way. And I'm confident that, with the right people involved, you never want to be willy-nilly about any type of investment, but you want to have investment in our state, but you want to do so in the right way. And that's always going to be my priority as a state representative.
All right. I know you have a meeting time coming up. I'll give you a final word. Anything else you need to add to the conversation, or things we need to pay attention to that are going forth from this moment till we talk again?
Oh, what I would just encourage people is, if you have any issue with state government, right now in the, Midland Bay and Saginaw, you don't have a state senator. But if you have any issue with state government right now, we're working overtime on Team Shooty to make sure that we're resolving any of those issues. So 517-373-0152. You can call with any of the issues you have with state government in the Great Lakes Bay region. We'll do our best to get it taken care of for you.
All right. We appreciate your time, and thank you for your patience with me this morning, filling in for Art Lewis. Bill, thank you.
Oh, absolutely, Charlie. Hope Art gets better, but always enjoy talking with you.
All right, Representative Bill G. Schuette from the 95th District in our conversation this morning. That I know he talks on a regular basis with Art Lewis. Some of the issues become different. Some are the same and need updating. And we're hopefully doing that with Representative Schuette this morning. We'll take a break and come back and get things opened up for the rest of the Art Lewis Show this half hour on WSTW and our open phones.
Jeff Gronsky here.
All right, on the Art Lewis Show here on WSW, brought to you by Westside Decorating Center on State Street in Saginaw Township. 10:34. Again, we appreciate Representative Schuette and this conversation. And we're going to open things up if you have anything going on. 989-752-6111. Up until 11 o'clock, the Focus Show at that time. We'll find out about Great Lakes Doors and more. Terry Annie's Farm Show. Following that, on this Dr. Martin Luther King Day, 2026, remember, it is the day to honor Dr. King, the third Monday in January. January 15th, his actual birth date, but we have these federal holidays, these 3-day weekends. Markets closed, no post office delivery. I think they're doing priority mail. But no regular mail. A lot of the financial institutions are closed, banks and such. Maybe yours open. You might call ahead if you've got some official business to do. And any type of official business, you might call ahead just to find out what's going on. Or, we say call ahead. How ancient is that in a lot of ways? You can check social media, go online. Probably have a Facebook, Instagram, some type of ways that other communications are done, listing hours and closings and things like that. Yep, there's ways to find out. Anyway, make sure you save yourself a trip if necessary. Again, 989-752-6111 if you want to chime in. I will admit to tell you a little unprepared this morning of some things that are going on. We are officially, quote-unquote, closed today, if you will. Our company recognizing Dr. King's Day, so a little short-staffed, but we're making do as necessary, as we say. Just one quick follow-up on something that Representative Schuette mentioned, and I kind of mentioned it there, and he recognizes it, and I get that. But it was in reference to the data center. That, the economic impact could be huge, and yet the impact on a community and what it could do for the energy costs and also the utilization of land and other resources. That's that tough balance. You're already hearing about some communities that are speaking out against and asking their politicians to put up a fight. But what a balance that is. It's always been that way. And how many times has that not in my backyard NIMBY been talked about when it comes to, we want it. I just don't want it in my backyard. And so a decision has to be made. And a decision eventually will be made. Whether it's that issue or not, I'm just using that as the conversation piece of saying, there's a long history that you can talk about of maybe different zoning positions that took place where residents didn't want something zoned a particular way, but it eventually was, or maybe a business that was looking to get started and residents spoke up and the community said, no, we don't want your business. It's gone both ways. And so there is a quote unquote battle, I guess, that takes place. And especially does it get any of a better battle? And I mean that in the sense of the word locally, where you have something that's very local and near and dear to the community. Unfortunately, sometimes it could put neighbor against neighbor. There's been some issues of that with some farmland and things like that, and some of the turbines and things like that, for example. But, man, it's never easy. Let's just put it that way. Joe's in Saginaw and shouting in this morning. Let's find out what's on Joe's mind. We appreciate your patience and hanging on, Joe. Good morning to you, sir.
Well, good morning, Charlie. How are you today?
We're doing great, thank you. Hopefully you are as well.
I am. I'm calling in gratitude.
Hey, what's going on?
Well, I use the Saginaw Saginaw River Headwaters recreation area frequently. And I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's an old General Motors plant that's located on Center Road, not Center Street in the city, next to the Saginaw River.
Yeah, and, I've not been to that. I know where you're at, your primary area. Yeah.
Yes. Well, there's a ton of wildlife there. There's nesting bald eagles. There's so many deer that are used to walkers now. They just stand there and watch you go by. And it's the individuals who put that together deserve a pat on the back. And now they've planted acres and acres of red oaks and pin oaks. So they're actually starting a forest there. And it's well utilized. I'm surprised that I've gone there at dusk, and there were people walking at that time and during the midday. So the Saginaw County Planning and the Saginaw Bay Watershed Initiative, the DNR, and all of the community leaders who put that together really have provided a resource for us. That made me think about how lucky we are here. If you look at the state of Michigan, I don't think there's any other city in the state that has 20,000 acres of state and federal game preserve at its south boundary and 4,000 acres at its north boundary. We got Crow Island on the north side, and then the Shiawassee Recreation Area for the state and the Shiawassee Game Area for the feds. And we're really lucky here with all the resources right at our fingertips. So that was the purpose of my call, was to say thanks about that. And the other thing is I just returned from a family activity this weekend in Detroit. And I went down to the Museum of Illusions, which is across from the Detroit Institute of Arts. And we've got that brand new bridge opening up to Canada from Detroit. And Detroit I can see why their population is going up. Detroit has really got a lot of stuff going for it right now. And you can see that it's changed. And that's everything has a life cycle. And some of these Rust Belt cities are now coming back. And it's going to be a slow process. I don't want to say it's going to be overnight, but when I was down there Saturday, we're right in the heart of the city, and there's people walking everywhere shopping. I go to New York every spring to watch plays, and the streets are pretty crowded there. And I had a similar feeling when I was in Detroit. Lots of things to do, lots of people shopping and doing whatever things they were doing that day. It's just, it was a good feeling.
Well, that's a nice call there, Joe. And great shouts of gratitude. I'll follow up real quick. First of all, on Detroit, just because you mentioned that and it's fresh in my mind. And you know what they have done there is the same thing almost like has been tried here. I'll use Saginaw for the example of developing that riverfront, which is a resource and for years has been ignored. And Detroit has really started to open that up and put in the walkways and put in some of the more friendly ways that people can just enjoy a chance to experience the outdoors. And they've done that well, let alone what's happening in other areas that you mentioned in the downtown area. So,
yeah. There are different challenges I don't think people realize. Years ago, I worked for the city of Saginaw in economic development, and the average size of a boat that was launched on the Saginaw River in Saginaw was only 16 feet. And Bay City has the advantage of being right there at the bay. So if you want to take and launch your boat here and travel up to the bay, you've got about a 45-minute trip just to get there. And when I used to walk to work, believe it or not, in the winter like this, I walked to work for 25 years or better. And I would walk down the banks of the Saginaw River and across on the ice and talk to the ice fishermen to see who were coming here, that kind of thing. And the dynamics of doing business in a blighted city are far different than they were in the township. or in the more affluent areas. And at that point in time, you couldn't take a business from the mall and bring them into the city. They just couldn't they didn't have the same business model. And who would have guessed that you would see Fashion Square Mall be in the shape that it's in today? And the dynamics of the marketplace have changed. We all have to adopt. And when I worked for the city, if somebody would come to me and say, Joe, I'm going to bring you 30 jobs. What are you going to do for me? I had to make them laugh, but I'd say nothing. I got enough losers. I need some winners. And if you can't make it without our money, I don't want you. And so you establish a business relationship up front and try not to be harsh in the way that you present it to them, but make sure you have clawbacks. If they didn't do what they said they were going to do, we get our money back. We might get our land back. There are penalties that they have to pay if they come in with a hotshot idea and it doesn't pan out. We at least should get our resources back. So that was a challenge, but nevertheless, it was so much fun trying to sell the city of Saginaw because there are people that prosper. And, we had a new subdivision built years ago. A bunch of minorities got together and decided to create a subdivision that they wanted. And it was like minimum of 1,600 square foot homes. Was like an isolated area with greenery around it with trees and things of that nature, right by the old Saginaw Fairgrounds. It was beautiful. And so you have to work with the people that know how to do business in your environment. And I had a very good friend of mine who was a real estate developer, served clients around the country, worked with malls. And we would have discussions from time to time. And the environment that he worked in was an environment where the people had access to millions and millions of dollars. And I was trying to recruit. You hear about food deserts, and you try to recruit a big national chain to come into an urban area, and they would tell me, well, we need 50,000 homes with a average income of $50,000 per household. And then they'd go build on a piece of farmland that was not next to anything. There were no 50,000 homes, but that was their business model. Is they knew they'd be a regional or an area draw, and they were looking more at their marketing issues. And it's things like drive time. Do you place a business on the drive to work side of a business or on the drive away? So if you're a donut shop and a coffee shop, you place your building on the side of the route where the majority of the traffic is going to flow to work. And if you're some other store of a different nature, you put it on maybe the other side. So it's a fascinating area. And anyway, but I really called just to say I'm so glad to see things changing here in Michigan and share it.
Sounds good, Joe. We appreciate it. And appreciate those great years of work that you did with the city of Saginaw, and a great conversation there about some of the ins and outs and some of the nuances when it comes to those business relationships. And for goodness sakes, people, if you have a chance to get out to some of those areas that have been developed and the natural beauty that exists right here in our backyard, take advantage of it. We'll get to another call. Mark, if you hang on, we'll get to your call coming up next after the break here on WSTW in a moment.
The Mega Millions drawing comes on.
Are you always on the hunt for a good bargain? Well, we've got all kinds of activities to keep you busy inside all winter long at RocketGrabPlus.com. Great deals from local businesses like BC Golf Simulation, Poker Face Aesthetic Club, Crossbows from Bay Archery, Saginaw Escape, and Saginaw Jelly Ball. It's cold outside, but the deals and savings are hot. Visit RocketGrabPlus.com for all the details today.
RocketGrabPlus.com.
I love a damn.
All right, Art Lewis Show continues on WSGW's 1050.